Man, get up here in the Zoloft to get your head right.
Hi there, and welcome to the Zoloft. Man, my response to Kaepernick's taking a snotty squatty during the national anthem got a few people up with a case of twisted britches, a little more than usual. Now I just want to give y'all a few examples of some of the actual bigotry that comes from these folks who are examples of the actual culprits promoting bigotry in America today. Oh, and stupidity. Like this guy. Kill yourself. Okay. This guy has proven the point of what we're talking about when we ask why is the black community more outraged about cops than they are about blacks killing each other, far more than cops do. This dude is flat out showing us that his desires for those who disagree with him is death. This is an example of how too much the black community disregards itself. And when I call this out for the purpose of saying, hey, let's be better to each other, I get called out as the one who hates his own race. Because too often in the black community, if you go sideways with each other, they'd rather see you dead, like this guy, and then want to blame the white man for killing us. But I'm the bad guy, not the guy who wants me to kill myself. Then this genius goes on to add a quote from George Carlin. Weird. He doesn't like white folks, but he likes George Carlin. Why is it that Afrocentrics don't like the lying white man, but they like white men who lie to them? Malcolm X would be disgusted. Malcolm X spoke of people like you who bought into the white liberal smiley face fox. This dude quotes George Carlin, who says, it's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Only an idiot would think that statement is brilliant, let alone quote it. You do realize that the person who said that was living the American dream, right? He was free doing what he loved that provided for him and his family. While you were wide awake, you were witnessing someone up on stage living the American dream while telling you to give up on yours. Now you go ahead and let that sink in for a minute. That's the white person you chose to quote to defend your worldview? Okay. Now let's move on to this dude, Sean Sebastian. Go ahead and lick those boots. Talk like them. You wear your hat like them. Okay. You want to be accepted so bad, you're still an N-word to them racists, SMH. Okay. All right, Sean. I see you're projecting. Your father is white, and you felt compelled to overcompensate to prove that you're black enough and you want to be acceptable to other blacks. So you got to play up your blackness and try to hate on others or try to make another black person seem less black than even you, so you'll appear more acceptable and authentically black instead of half white. The one with acceptance issues is you, dude. You're projecting. And while I know there's some white racists out there, Sean here is proof that they're not contacting me to demonstrate the bigotry that he does. He says I'm still just an N-word to my white viewers. No, Sean, you made it quite clear that I'm an N-word to you. You're projecting again. Oh, and I love the whole, yo, white viewers don't really love you. They call you N-word behind your back. Really? So despite all that white privilege, they have to hide in a closet to call little old me the N-word?
I love AlfonZo Rachel and I love his work, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I will say it loud and I will say it proud. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take my white privilege into this closet and call him the N-word.
Oh, and you're a much better person because you're such a public bigot, right? Or how about Tamby, who assumes to educate me about the Constitution? Let me remind y'all that pro-slavery people back then would love idiots like Tamby. Why? Because they'd be saying, hey, she's making the argument for us. Indeed, even she sees that the Constitution sees Negroes as lesser people, which means that we can make them our slaves. Thank you, Tamby. Mindsets like Tamby Lewis are the kinds that promoted the very ideas that made slavery legal against the Constitution. Second, anyone who would actually look at the Constitution would see that the 3/5 clause has nothing to do with personhood. Third, Proof that the Constitution has never legalized slavery was blatantly shown by the fact that the Democrats drew up their own Constitution for the Confederacy that made in clear language the provisions for slavery. If our U.S. Constitution was pro-slavery and disqualified the personhood of blacks, then why would the Democrats feel like they would have to form the Confederacy with a Constitution that added pro-slavery language that satisfied them that the U.S. Constitution was missing? Yeah, the Democrats did that. The party that you vote for. But I'm the sellout. Lastly, we got this little creep on Twitter who goes by the name James_Mac_NFL, who seems to want my attention real bad. A person mentioned me along with Larry Elder and Sheriff Clark as example of people taking personal responsibility. Offended by this, the white liberal champion James Mack, who wants to lecture us about how justified Kaepernick is, tweets out that Larry Elder, Sheriff Clark, and myself are a-holes. Why are we a-holes, James? Are you mad because we're not in need of your white liberal champion services to rescue us poor black folk? And since we're not in need of your rescuing, we're a-holes? Because we're free from the need to blame other people and making people feel like they owe us? Whining like little butt-hurting sissies and instead would rather put that energy into providing a product or service that people can volunteer their patronage to rather than demand entitlements? Or demand to be treated with respect while not showing any respect? Yeah, whatever. But y'all, I didn't share these comments with you to complain, but rather to illustrate the stupid, backward, bigoted views of the very kinds of people who claim to be so angry about racism, yet they're the ones who are always throwing gasoline on it. Now you go ahead and let that sink in for a minute.